Got a little Amazon update for you here. You will recall that they got very feisty on Twitter, engaging in battles online with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and notably Representative Mark Pocan, who is a progressive. And they'd replied to him this very snarky, like, you don't really believe the whole the whole Amazon workers peeing in bottles thing. That, of course, sparked a wave of reporting proving definitively not only do drivers in particular, but also sometimes fulfillment center workers have to pee in bottles, but that Amazon knew about the practice because they had documented it in internal memos that the one and only Ken Klippenstein got his hands on. So here's the final piece. Amazon actually had to acknowledge that, yes, in fact, their drivers are forced to urinate in bottles, and they had to acknowledge, they had to apologize to Congressman Pocan for that obnoxious tweet that they sent to him ultimately. Here's what they said. They called it an own goal and said, we know that drivers can and do have trouble finding restrooms because of traffic or sometimes rural routes. This has been especially the case during COVID when many public restrooms have been closed, basically saying it's not really our fault. It's just kind of the nature of the job. They referred to it as like an industry-wide problem. Listen, if you're Amazon, you got as much money as you do, you can certainly figure out that you're supposed to be logistics geniuses. You can certainly figure out the logistics of allowing your drivers to have the basic dignity of being able to use a toilet. How about that? They also, here was the apology to Pocan. It was, this was an own goal. We're unhappy about it, and we owe an apology to Representative Pocan.
Oh, okay. Now, how about you owe an apology to a lot more people? And again, this is the problem, which is that they're not going to pay any price. And I knew it at the time. They're pugnacious. They can absolutely lie. They are leveraging upon the fact that they can act outrageously built upon a product that so many people love. And look, it's been a week. We don't know what the results yet are, from the union election and more. But they're betting that, number one, it's going to fail, and number two, that Washington will just blow over. And I think that is largely the case. Remember, Amazon is the number 2 lobbyist in all of Washington, D.C. as of the year 2021, one behind Facebook. And I don't think that that's a coincidence, which is that they have all this lobbying dollars, and they, basically were so arrogant to think that they could just get away with this. But this is what Bezos wants. Bezos is basically like, look, I've invested and I've paid all you people off now for 20 years. And he's like, now it's my time. He's like, I'm going to go out there and do whatever the hell I feel like. And you're not going to say one word about it. And the sad truth is, I think he's probably going to get away with it.
On the other hand, I agree with your whole analysis, sadly. But I do want to say one positive thing, which is that their obnoxious, like near tandem style, pugnacious behavior on Twitter did lead them to actually, for the first time, have to publicly acknowledge that their drivers are routinely peeing in bottles. They didn't acknowledge the other piece of Ken's reporting, which was defecating into bags. But they really embarrassed themselves on this. They create a situation, they create a mess for themselves that ultimately forced them to acknowledge something that they really didn't want to admit, really didn't want to have to talk about here. But like you said, the bottom line is it's really not Congressman Pocan, who probably doesn't have to pee in a bottle as part of his job as a member of Congress here in the United States House of Representatives. They need to apologize to their workers, and even more importantly, they need to fix it. Because you can't run around saying, oh, we're more progressive than Bernie Sanders. We have progressive workplace, healthcare from day one, $15 minimum wage, which you were shamed into providing by Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna, and which, by the way, is below industry standards in terms of warehouse workers. You don't get to run around saying you got a progressive workplace when you're busting unions, doing everything you can to keep workers from being able to collectively organize, collectively bargain, and not providing just the basic levels of human decency. These workers down in Bessemer, Alabama, they say they feel like robots. They get fired by a text message for the horrible infraction of using the restroom. That is not a progressive workplace. That's shameful, and that's what you really need to apologize for.
That's right.
More Rising for you after this.